Hi guys, it's William. So I've been wanting to do this video for a while. It's probably going to be the most embarrassing video I've ever put on, but I'm going to try to do this in one take and not have to edit out parts and skip over them. So I'm going to try to make this perfect. But yes, everyone tells me to take a look at my YouTube footprint, or my internet pro footprint anyway, because I'm hoping to find a job soon, and this video might stop me from getting a job, but hopefully not anyway. So yeah, the most embarrassing thing happened to me today. I just went to the barber. I don't know why I had my hat on. Maybe it's to hide my shame a little bit. But the barber I go to is right near this dentist office that my mom used to own. Recently, about 4 years ago, she bought and actually built an entire dentist office along with her partner and a friend of mine, Ron Brierly. But anyway, I decided to park over there because this barber shop doesn't have a lot of parking space. So I decided, since this was the first time I'd be at the barber's alone and not have another driver with me, I decided I'm familiar with the parking there. No one's gonna tow my car if I go there. This doesn't have to do with the subject of the title that you click this video on for, and I'm sorry, but I just wanted to talk about this first because it's what inspired me to do this video. So I got my hair cut, and then I realized that another car had parked right beside me in a different way. Like, I was here and he was there, and there was another car there, so I was basically stuck. And the car that I brought was a Nissan Pathfinder. It's very big. So it took, I tried to back out. And then I felt, I heard a little, I don't know what it was. I assumed it was maybe just the leaves or something. But then when it got more as I backed out, I realized, oh shit. I crashed into a lady's car. I saw a dentist run out. I guess she was the owner. In fact, I saw her get into the car later. I had crashed into the front of her car, and I broke her license plate. Well, not really, just like the casing of the license plate. Nowhere else. But she was very nice about it, and she said that it costed about $20 to put that on, so I gave her 2 20s, but she only wanted 1 20. I felt so bad, it was so embarrassing. So she backed in a little bit more, and another girl who must have seen the commotion, who had parked that car in front of me while I was at the barber, had backed out to help me. So it was very nice of them. And then I tried to get out, but I was so scared of hitting any others that I tried to turn a separate way, but I just kept getting closer and closer. Like, I kept getting curved, and I was worried that I would smash it into it again, and that would be the worst. I'd probably have my license taken away from me. I was lucky that I didn't break anything very, very, very badly. So anyway, eventually I got out, but I had to keep going like this for 10 minutes until someone had came out to make sure I was okay. But that time I was able to get out okay, but yeah, that's probably going to be the most embarrassing story that I'm going to talk about on this channel. It's probably even more embarrassing than that prank video I put up when I tried to tape the cosmetics of my parents shut and I couldn't get any footage. Oh, and my sunglasses. These are actually regular glasses, but they have a certain lens to help keep the dark away, so, I mean, I shouldn't really have that cool guy look right now. Because I feel so shameful. I mean, I guess in a way it wasn't my fault. It was my fault, but that car had parked there. I'm not accusing the lady who parked there because she didn't know. I wouldn't expect her to know. I didn't know. I should have parked somewhere else. Okay, so here's what I mean about the title. When In fact, hold on. This is a picture of me in 4th grade. I hope that the lighting makes me look a little bright. I mean, can you tell the difference? This is me when I was in 4th grade. I remember the SpongeBob SquarePants rocking shirt. So, here's what I was like as a kid. I got straight A's in grade 1 and 2, and then my patience started to falter around grade 3. The grade 3 teacher was very nice, but then that year was the first time I got a C in one of my classes. And I think the reason for that is it was sort of hard for me to pay attention. My mind wandered a little bit. In fact, in 2nd grade, I had this special piece of paper by the window, and I got a stamp for every time I had spent a class listening to the teacher. I wasn't a bad student, at least I don't think so. I guess you'd have to ask someone else, but that's what I wanted to talk about. This case is not just about echolalia, but also about me as a kid. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm autistic. And it's not a disease, I'm just different than a lot of other people. I'm a book blogger, and I'm a boy who didn't really hang out with a lot of boys. And in 2nd grade, I loved reading, I loved writing so much that when we had dictée, I was in French immersion, which was, you had to write down the words that the teacher said. I always said, I just finished, I'm gonna get perfect, and I was showing off a lot. And also, here's the case about echolalia. I talked to my mom about what I was like as a kid, and she brought up the definition just not too long ago. It's when you repeat something you saw. Like, in 2001, a lot of my favorite movies came out, and I just started saying the lines back at other people in certain situations. Like during a few scenes in Monsters, Inc., like when Mike is exercising Sully a lot, I would soon say something like, big monsters don't have plaque. Hey, less talk, more pain, marshmallow boy or girl. I would change depending on the certain situation. And people found it funny. I guess what I wanted was to say it, think about my acting skills a little, and maybe garner a reaction, make them think, oh yeah, from Monsters, Inc., and then we'd talk about the movie or something. But it didn't always work out that way. In fact, I used to have a neighbor, and we were a little bit friends to each other, not the closest, but I remember in one movie, the characters take someone out of their house, like say, out! And I would think I was asked by my mom to invite him over, and I thought that my echolalia came up again. I thought that we would talk about the Cat in the Hat or something, or maybe I just wanted some alone time, and I didn't think it would hurt his feelings, but about 5 minutes after I shooed him out of the house, I remember this day. I remember I said, okay, we can play this computer game, then you can go. I really regret saying those words, because 5 minutes later, my mom said that that boy's mom called, and that he was crying on the driveway because of me. I looked out my window and saw him like that, but I never invited him back in. I should have. I remember a few years later when my sister and I, and he and his sister, we were playing out in the snow, and I mentioned that, and I'm glad that I did before they moved away. They moved away only a summer ago, so I had plenty of time, and thankfully I made use of that time. But yeah, that was just one case of echolalia, but I think that the worst times were in grade 4 and 5. These are probably just as shameful as that car story I just told you about. Remember that scene in Ratatouille when Colette is first introduced to Linguini? She looks at him like this when she finds out that she's going to be working with him after Linguini makes that magnificent soup, and she puts knives through his shirt. I've never told anyone this before, ever. So I decided that that would be very funny. I found it interesting, putting knives out like that. I had never seen someone do that before. So I wanted to try it out myself. So I ended up bringing a few knives to school, and I remember my teacher and the assistant who I was okay friends with. I was a teacher's pet because I just wanted to be nice. I had looked at them like this. They were saying, "What's wrong?" Then I took a knife out. They screamed. Well, they'd, "Oh!" And then I changed my mind at the last second. Well, the second after the last second. And thought, what? What was this doing? And the whole thing fell apart. I ended up being sent to the library and talked with my teacher by myself, asking what would make me want to bring a knife to school. And to be honest, I don't know why, but I couldn't say the real reason. And I ended up accusing my sister of sneaking them in. And yeah. And then in grade 5, in grade 5 we had a teacher that really liked to give us grammar. He would give us like 8 pages a week. It would be so hard. In fact, the book that he gave us, Le Petit Guide Grammatical, it even said that it would be hard at first, but then everything would be easy. But it was very hard at first. And to this day, you could find some of my friends, ask them about Monsieur Lagacé's grammaire, and think, oh. So I remember going up to him, thinking, no, let's not do that again. I ended up one day I got some of the. I referenced Calvin and Hobbes. What Calvin's dad talked about in that strip, how Goldilocks and the Three Tigers, the story that Hobbes wrote about Goldilocks coming in, except she was about to get the porridge, the 3 bears come in, they divided the 3 tigers, they divided Goldilocks into small, medium, and then Dad said, "I'm not going to finish this is disgusting, I don't know why you let me talk you into this, good night." I said, "I don't know why I ever thought you were a good teacher." I think that's what I said. Something along the lines of that. And then he said, "Me neither." Like he was very stressed or something. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say it like that. I wanted to make him laugh and I insulted him. I didn't know until it was too late. I was a kid that I wanted to be nice, but there were times where I ended up insulting someone without knowing. And in fact, also, speaking of Calvin and Hobbes, another time when it was the insect collection strip. I guess you'd have to be a big Calvin and Hobbes fan to know which strip I'm talking about, but Susie talks about if you can label them scientifically in the next 5 minutes, maybe you'll get an F+, and then in the next panel, actually I don't think there's any way you'll get an F+. We were doing speeches in grade 5, and I said that to a girl when she was practicing in front of a few people, and then she said, I wanted her to laugh, and then she said, "We don't critique your speech, William, so don't critique ours." Just what I was like as a kid was, I was different. It was hard for me to be social. To this day, it's kind of hard, but I'm working on it personally. Personally, I like to talk to people a lot more. I mean, I'm a YouTuber now, and I'm talking about this straight to you, even though I may not know who you are. So those were my cases of echolalia, but I think that the turning point came in grade 6. I think it was when I really grew up and started to understand my problem. To anyone who has autism or echolalia, you aren't a problem. You're not a problem. You want to make people laugh, or you might... I'm sorry, I'm not trying to speak out for everyone. But in grade 6, I got jealous of this girl because she was a very good gymnast, and I saw her tease someone, and tease one of my friends, and to be honest, I think that he laughed afterward. She wasn't trying to be mean. She was joking around. And I was bullied in grade 6 by other people. That's why I wrote the Blacktop Brothers first. So I thought, she's a bully. And no one's standing up to her. to tell you the truth, she wasn't a bully, not in the slightest. She couldn't have been nicer. She couldn't have been funnier to her friends. But in grade 6, there was a bully awareness day at school where people got to sign up to go in pairs and present an act about bullying in front of the school. I'm not going to say anyone's name for this, because I would just be bullying again. Well, we did an act, and then I did a speech referencing that there are bullies like her, and then I said, she said these 2 things. I remember what they are, but I don't want to say them. Fine, okay, I will. I said, she said, shut up, this person. I know who it is, but once again, don't want to say names. And none of your beeswax, you moron. And she looked at me like this afterwards. To tell you the truth, I think she clapped to it. I remember looking at her and I saw her clap, but then on the bus ride home, one of my friends said that she didn't say that. And then a few days later, my 6th grade teacher, I like all of my teachers from Leslie Frost. She called me in and said that the girl I insulted had been crying recently, that she felt very ashamed, and I don't know if a lot of people were teasing her about it, but something tells me in the back of my head a few people were. When I realized my mistake, when I realized that I made someone cry, that was the worst. I bawled, I sobbed, I felt like the worst human being on the planet. I felt like I had killed someone. I apologized. I apologized as much as I could. I remember I was still crying when I said I'm sorry. And then in 7th grade we had a project together and we got along just fine. But in fact, we had a fun time. But to this day, I can't look at her without remembering how I embarrassed her in front of the whole school, and how that time it was intentional. So there are a few times where I look back and think, I was the bully that I'm making an example of in my books today. But then I thought, I've heard stories of other people who said they had shameful child stories. So I thought, I'm grown up now, and I miss the days of being a kid, and I thought to myself the other day, if I could I do regret bullying that girl, but would I have erased it from existence? Would I have changed it? And I thought at first, yes, but maybe it wouldn't have changed me. Maybe I wouldn't have realized my mistake. Maybe I wouldn't have been the nice person I am today. Maybe I would have kept insulting unintentionally. Maybe I would have kept referencing things like crazy. And I guess I would want to keep the memory, but I wouldn't want people to remember the shame that I put to that girl. I don't think anyone really remembers that, so I'm sorry if I made anyone remember, but I didn't say any names. So that was what I was like as a kid. I was energetic. I skipped on my shoes. I know I'm giving some information at the conclusion, but that's what I was like as a kid, and I was a little crazy, but I was very nice. Do I look like a nice kid? So anyway, this might be the last video I make before I go off to college. I'm going to keep making videos, but I just wanted to make this one last video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that if you had an embarrassing moment as a kid, or if you were bullied, then just don't worry about it. You have supporters, and nothing's wrong with you if you made a mistake as a kid. And I paid back the lady that I hit on the car. I already said that I did, but yeah, I'm having a pretty embarrassing morning.